At some point in the past several decades, the United States government made a quiet decision, a decision that was never put to a public vote, never debated in Congress, never disclosed in a presidential address. The decision was this: if something catastrophic happened, a nuclear strike, a biological attack, or a collapse of the constitutional order, the visible government of the United States would not be the one that continued to function. A different government would take over, one that had been operating in the background, fully staffed, fully funded, fully prepared for decades. It has a name inside government circles: Continuity of Government, COG. And the people who run it, the people who would assume control of the most powerful nation on earth in the event of a catastrophic emergency, were not elected by you, are not known to you, and operate under authorities that override the normal constitutional structure of American government. This is not a theory. It is documented, partially declassified, and confirmed inadvertently on the morning of September 11, 2001. The concept of continuity of government is not inherently sinister. Every serious government plans for catastrophic scenarios. The ability to maintain basic state functions after a catastrophic attack is a legitimate concern, particularly during the Cold War era, when nuclear war between the United States and Soviet Union was a genuine and constant possibility. The problem is not that the plan exists. The problem is what the plan contains and who controls it. The origins of the modern COG apparatus trace back to the Eisenhower administration in the early 1950s. The dawning nuclear age had created a scenario that no previous military or political planning had needed to address: the possibility that the entire visible leadership of the United States government could be eliminated in a matter of minutes. Eisenhower authorized the construction of classified facilities, hardened underground bunkers designed to house the essential functions of government in the event of nuclear attack. The most famous of these was the Greenbrier facility in West Virginia, a luxury resort hotel with a fully equipped government bunker built beneath it, kept secret from the public for over 30 years. But the physical bunkers were only one piece of the architecture. The more significant piece was the question of personnel. If the president, the vice president, the Speaker of the House, and the Senate President pro tempore were all killed simultaneously, who would govern? The Presidential Succession Act provides a legal answer, but continuity of government planning went further, far further than the public succession framework. Under various classified executive orders and national security directives, arrangements were made for a parallel line of succession, a shadow cabinet, pre-designated officials, some elected, many not, who would assume executive authority under emergency conditions. The details of who these people are, under what specific circumstances they would assume power, and what authorities they would hold, remain classified to this day. I want you to think very carefully about what I just described. There exists within the United States government a pre-designated group of people, partially unknown to the public, who are authorized to assume control of the executive branch of the most powerful government on earth under emergency conditions. Their identities are classified. Their specific authorities are classified. The conditions under which they take power, the precise definition of what constitutes an emergency sufficient to activate this system, are classified. You did not vote for them. You cannot vote against them. You do not know their names. They have been there, waiting for over 70 years. The most significant public revelation about continuity of government came not from a whistleblower or a congressional investigation. It came from a Tuesday morning in September 2001. On the morning of September 11th, as the attacks unfolded, something activated inside the United States government that most Americans did not notice because they were watching the towers burn. Vice President Dick Cheney was immediately evacuated to a classified underground facility. Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld remained at the Pentagon, and a third line of authority, the COG apparatus, quietly came online. In the days and weeks following September 11th, journalist and author James Mann began investigating the people who had designed and managed the COG program during the Reagan administration. What he found was striking. The three men who had been most deeply involved in designing and rehearsing the COG activation protocols during the 1980s, who had spent years preparing for the moment when normal constitutional government would be suspended and the shadow structure would take over, were Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, and a lesser-known official named Richard Clarke. The two men most responsible for designing America's shadow government were, at the moment it was nearly activated, the Vice President and the Secretary of Defense of the United States. They had not arrived in those positions accidentally. They had spent decades inside the COG apparatus, learning its architecture, rehearsing its activation, understanding its authorities. And when the crisis came, they were exactly where they needed to be. Reporter Christopher Ketchum, writing in Radar magazine in 2008, described a COG program called Main Corps, a database maintained by the intelligence community containing the names of Americans considered potential threats to national security in the event of a national emergency. The existence of Main Corps was confirmed by multiple government sources. The criteria for inclusion, the specific behaviors or associations that place an American citizen on a list maintained for use during a suspended constitutional order, have never been publicly disclosed. Here is the question that does not have a comfortable answer. The United States Constitution establishes a clear order of succession, a clear separation of powers, a clear set of checks and balances that are supposed to prevent any single individual or group from assuming unchecked authority over the government. Continuity of government planning, as it has evolved over 70 years of classified executive orders and national security directives, creates a parallel system that operates outside those checks and balances, not instead of the Constitution, but alongside it, waiting. The people who designed this system believed, as people who design shadow systems always believe, that they were protecting the nation, that the emergency powers they were creating would only ever be used in genuine extremis, that the safeguards they built were sufficient. History has not always been kind to that assumption. The COG apparatus received its most significant public scrutiny in the aftermath of September 11th, and then, remarkably quickly, receded from public attention again. In 2002, the George W. Bush administration activated portions of the COG framework for the first time in American history, rotating a shadow government through the classified facilities on a continuous basis as a precautionary measure. When the Washington Post reported this, the story generated significant attention for approximately 1 week. Congress was not fully informed. Senior members of the House and Senate, including members of the Homeland Security committees, told reporters they had not been briefed on the activation. The executive branch had activated a parallel government structure and had not told the legislative branch it had done so. This is precisely the scenario that the architects of the constitutional separation of powers spent the summer of 1787 trying to prevent. It happened anyway. In 2007, Congressman Peter DeFazio, a member of the House Homeland Security Committee, requested access to the classified annexes of the National Continuity Policy. These documents contained the specific details of what the COG apparatus was authorized to do. His request was denied. A sitting member of the House Homeland Security Committee was refused access to documents describing the emergency powers of the government he was elected to oversee. He went public with his frustration. The story received moderate coverage. The documents remained classified. They remain classified
today.
There is something important to understand about the continuity of government apparatus, something that separates it from the other institutions we have examined in this series. The Federal Reserve, Operation Mockingbird, the petrodollar. These were all built to serve specific interests: financial interests, informational interests, geopolitical interests. The COG apparatus was built with a genuinely different original intention. It was built to survive, to ensure that some version of American government, some structure of authority and order would continue to function even in the most catastrophic imaginable circumstances. The question that haunts it is not one of original intent, it is one of evolution. What begins as a survival mechanism, a last resort, has a tendency, over 70 years of classified development and unchecked expansion, to become something else. Something that is no longer purely defensive. Something that has interests of its own. Something that, when a crisis comes, is very well positioned to shape how that crisis is defined, how severe it is declared to be, and how long the emergency lasts. We have now examined 7 institutions, each one operating outside the normal boundaries of democratic accountability, each one shaping the world you live in through mechanisms you were never meant to fully understand. The Federal Reserve controls your money. Operation Mockingbird shaped what you were told. The Nixon shock removed the last restraint on the money supply. MK Ultra demonstrated what they were willing to do. The Bilderberg Group coordinates the people who benefit from all of it. The petrodollar ensures the entire structure is enforced through energy markets. And the continuity of government apparatus ensures that if anyone ever gets too close to changing any of it, the system has a way to continue without them. In our next episode, we go to an institution that operates entirely in the open. It publishes a magazine, it holds conferences, its membership list is publicly available, and yet it has shaped every major American foreign policy decision for over 100 years, placing its members in virtually every senior government position across both political parties, without a single American in 10,000 being able to tell you what it does or who controls it. The Council on Foreign Relations. That story, next episode.